Oh, it's a fever dream. Amanda's experiencing various hallucinations. Or could they be something else entirely? It's in Santiago, which is in Chile. She's trying to save her daughter from somebody who wants to take her to replace a kid, perhaps. Oh, it's a fever dream, which is a Netflix original. Yes, that is Chilean from Santiago. That is, wait for it, in Chile, as I just said. And is directed by Claudia Leosa, who directed The Milk of Sorrow and Aloft. I'm sorry I had to write that down, but it was the only way I was going to remember that name because I'm not very good with foreign names or really any English words, as you can tell. And it was also written by her. And it was also based on a novel by Samantha Schrablin. I'm sorry for butchering that. I apologize to Samantha and any of her family members if you happen to be watching this. So the stars Maria Valverde. Okay, I'm just going to stop pronouncing these names. I'm just going to stop pronouncing. I apologize to anybody that watched this, anybody from Chile that enjoyed this movie, that had anything to do with this movie. I am not trying to discourage or, play down anything that you guys, contributed to this. So she plays Amanda, and then there's Carola, played by Dolores. I can say the first name. And also there's Marco, Guillermo. God damn it. Anyway, it's in Chile, and there is a lot of weird, stuff going on here because you're not sure if what you're seeing is real, if it's in the past, in the present, if it's all in somebody's mind. You don't actually know what's going on. You find out eventually, and then you also don't find out some things because this movie's a little bit obtuse at first. It seems simple, and then it gets a little more complex, peels the onion layers back, and it's also quite good. I'm not saying it's one of my favorite films of the year, but this was a shockingly pretty good movie that had a good deep narrative about how far you would go to rescue a child, how far you would go when you were faced with almost unfathomable, circumstances. How far would you go to save your child? How far would you go to save your flesh and blood? What extent would you go to, accomplish this? Any parent would do anything for their children, which I've never been a parent. I loathe children, I will say that. But as, somebody that has many friends that are parents, they will do anything for them. So there's Amanda, and this is told in a lot of flashbacks and a lot of stuff where you're not sure if she's hearing a voice in her head, what's going on, could she be real, could she be dead? She's talking to a boy named David, who's a young man that is trying to help her out. I said young man, he's trying to get her out of this dream state before she gives in and this fever dream takes over for good. Okay, I'm done with the song references, I'm sorry. But she is, she's reliving all these days, trying to figure out these little details because, as was said, what's important, what's not, it's in the details, Amanda, and keeps talking to her. And obviously, since it's Chilean, there's, going to be subtitles. Don't listen to these movies dubbed. Seriously, watch the goddamn screen. It's not that hard. It's a lot better to experience it in the natural language. But she's trying to peel back all this stuff and figure out what's going on, why she she's stuck in a moment that she can't get out of here, if you will, as you two said. She can't quite figure out what's going on. And you think you have it figured out, then it pivots just enough to where it actually it actually continues to advance the plot and makes you interested. I will say that much about this movie. This movie kept my interest, which is hard to do because A, I've watched too many movies, B, I have a horrible attention span, and C, I'm very, very judgmental when it comes to movies. That being said, god damn, I loved quite a bit of this. I have some complaints. I think that there are a few, there are just some moments where it's like, okay, now it's getting just a little bit, now it's getting to where there's just some stuff that will just, okay, it'll suddenly happen, like whatever, but then it sort of makes sense as far as how the brain, might start to short circuit when it's starting to maybe fade away, when a fever dream is finally, a fever, scarlet fever, whatever is trying to take over and eventually beating your body, even though your body creates antibodies and whatever, it does everything it can to fight. In a country like Chile, whatever year this is, I don't know if it's actually set in modern times or past times, because the cars and the styles and stuff like that, it almost seems like it's set in the 60s or 70s. But then they also do stuff where they're talking on cell phones and stuff like that. So obviously this would be something where maybe she's just mixing up a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe they don't have modern cars there. Again, I don't know much about Chile. But I'm not saying it like that because I'm probably offending, anybody from Chile that's watching this. Again, all 5 of you that happen to be watching. So basically, Carol tries to save her, son, and things kind of go tits up with that, and then it starts a chain of events that leads us to Amanda not quite being able to figure out what's going on with, what's inside her head. And it is beautifully shot. There's some great cinematography here. The camaraderie, the relationship between Amanda and her daughter Nina, and Carol and her son David, there's a really good amount of stuff. I get a bit of Brightburn from it, as far as like how you would deal with, a child. But also I just get, it just has a really, you'll see it when, you see the movie. And you should see this movie. It is really good. But again, there are a few complaints I do have. It kind of ends up being just, you end up having more questions than answers with some things, which isn't always the worst. But then it's like people are trying to figure out what happened. Okay, there's some visual stuff that maybe is telling about what's going on with Amanda, what's going on with David, what's going on with Nina. And then maybe sometimes it's just a little bit confusing. But overall, I would have to say that as far as a narrative and everything, and as far as how this movie manages to capture what it does, or capture, the spirit of like what you would do for a child, and how certain things just take hold and prevent you from being able to do that, and you struggle to try and do that, but you can't do it. It ends up being kind of emotional. It's not like a make you tear moment. I mean, unless you've suffered through something like this, then it might make you tear up. But it's a bit of a ghost story. It's also not. It's also more of a family drama with some psychological elements and some good, and just again, some really good performances. I mean, I can't pronounce the actors' names, and I do apologize for that, but the role of Amanda, she's really good. Really fucking stunning woman, by the way, too. But there's some good stuff here, and there's a little bit of but a lot of really good stuff. So I'm going to get in spoilers here, so I just want to tell you, though, check out this on Netflix. Really good. Again, you got to read subtitles. Don't listen to a dub. But really good stuff. Now, spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Okay. So, the whole thing going on with David is that he got sick from this poisoned water, or this chemical that is being put on crops that has leaked into the water. Hence why earlier Amanda gets a couple buckets delivered. Oh, you shouldn't drink the city water. You should boil the hell out of it. Oh, something might be going on because there's a bunch of chemicals being dumped on the farmland. It's leaking into the water supply, and not necessarily the best things, and people are rolling around in it, rolling around the fields and everything, and getting sick, as people are known to do, because sometimes people are idiots, and also they don't know because, oh yeah, these people aren't exactly telling them that there are deadly chemicals out there. So, Carol tells Carola tells the story of her son getting sick, and how he's changed. Turns out that she took him after he got sick. Her and her husband had a horse, or a few horses, a stallion that got sick. They had to pack up their house and basically move into a cheaper house because that stallion was their way of, their money. And once it died, David also got sick. She took him to a greenhouse with this old lady that did this weird ritual that took the poison or took the spirit and put it into 2 separate bodies, so the poison was distributed evenly. So the body could fight out the poison, but they'd have to find the other body and the other half and stuff like that and treat that body like their own. Well, and that part was a little bit confusing. Then it turns out that, well, there's more of a connection here as far as Nina and, Nina and David and all that and all these people. It turns out that she feels that Nina is the other half and everything. And once Nina gets sick, she tries to go save her. Amanda's sick because they were sitting down at one point and these chemicals had spilled over. And that was just pretty much, fucking up everything. And everybody was starting to get sick. Amanda was all feverish. She ended up staying at her friend's house, and then David's pounding on the door and everything. You need to get out of here. Is it in her head? Is it not? A lot of this is told through narration, voiceover stuff. between Amanda and David as they're trying to figure the stuff out. He's like, you got to focus. We've got a way to take care of this. He's taking her in a boat across this river. Now, is he the ferryman? Is he trying to save her? What's he trying to do? Is he going across the bayou? It looks a bit swampy. I don't know much about, Chile, but I didn't know that there were swamps. But Amanda ends up dying, I think, because it's a little bit confusing there. She gets absorbed into this boat, and then the husbands are talking, and everything, the respective husbands, because Amanda's dead, the other wife left, and now these two husbands are talking, and Nina is apparently okay, but she's been acting weird because she got, her and David and everything, this connection with this greenhouse ritual and stuff like that. It gets a little bit weird, like this poison's just being distributed. The cycle continues. It's kind of like the ring thing. You have a tape and what do? You spread it like sickness. You keep doing this, it's going to get really, really awkward. But that's really about it. Again, it gets a little bit, I'm not saying that the movie is necessarily badly confusing, but there are times where I was like, okay, It's a movie you have to pay attention to, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Again, a few issues, but overall, very, very good. It kind of reminds me of 32 Melisana Street, which was not necessarily something that reinvented the wheel, but had a lot of atmosphere and a lot of good performances, and a pretty good third act twist, and you should check that out. It's on Shudder. But this, really good. Fever Dream lives up to its name. I'm going to say B+. I was leaning towards actually more of a C+ until it really started to pick up steam, and I was like, you know what? This is enjoyable. Performances are very good. Atmosphere, cinematography, and it has a good, deep narrative to it. So B+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.